that I saw Karim was speaking, and then I saw all these people getting into that conversation. I thought, well, why not? I think I can take 10 minutes, right?
He has to wait to sign it, actually, after voting. So he has to be
Yes, I
awake.
have to sign the bill, so I probably not gonna sleep that early, like every other day.
So you'll sign it tonight.
I'll sign it tonight or early tomorrow if the debate takes a while. But yeah, I'll sign it when they have to close the session after the vote, and they have to send it to my desk. And I have 8 days to sign it, but I sign it right away, so it gets published tomorrow, and it goes into effect uh, immediately, since it's a public order law. So it goes into effect immediately. So it becomes law on Wednesday.
President, walk us through once you sign this bill and it becomes law. What's the plan? Is it you go and you put Bitcoin in the reserves? Do you begin to implement other types of infrastructure or technology? Kind of what are you thinking right now in terms of what you'll do once it becomes law?
Okay, there's gonna be a lot of news, a lot of new information here. Um, we have been working with. I think Jack's mom is here, right?
She is. Yeah, she's here, right here on stage, Brooke Mallers.
Yeah. So we have been working with Jack, and we're gonna do a government wallet, which is not gonna be the only wallet. It's not gonna be exclusive, since Bitcoin is not. I mean, it's free and it has to be like that. That's the way it works. So we're gonna keep it like that. We're not gonna try to control it or anything, since it would be, it will be a counter purpose. But we're gonna do a wallet for our merchants, so anybody can opt to use the government wallet, and that's for people that doesn't want to take the risk of normal everyday transactions, because uh, accepting Bitcoin is gonna be a mandate. So it's not like if you go to a McDonald's. I mean, probably most of you don't like McDonald's, but well, if you go to a McDonald's or whatever, um, they cannot say we're not going to take your Bitcoin. They have to take it by law because it's a legal tender, just like any other currency in any other part of the world. So if you, for example, if you go to Mexico, they have to take your pesos. It's not like they will say, I'm not going to take your pesos. You have to pay me with dollars. They have to take the pesos because that's the legal tender in Mexico. So in the case of El Salvador, Bitcoin is going to be legal tender just as the U.S. dollar. It's only not gonna apply for accounting. That's um, the only part where the U.S. dollar is gonna remain as the exclusive. It's on accounting. So the company's balance sheets will be in U.S. dollars. But that's it. Everything, even taxes, can be paid with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin it's a legal tender, but as legal tender it's a mandate to accept it in every transaction, and you can pay bank loans. Even the law says the law is very short and very simple, but it's very clear. And even if you have a previous contract, if you look, for example, if you gave a loan to somebody and you loan $100,000 10 years ago, and he still owes you that money, he can pay you with Bitcoin, because as the law turns into effect and Bitcoin becomes legal tender 90 days after the law. Why 90 days? Because we have to prepare infrastructure and all the other things. But once the law is in effect, the timing is just for getting everybody prepared and with the technology and the apps, etc. But if you owe somebody $100,000, you can pay him in Bitcoin. So it's going to be a full mandate, and every restaurant, every barber shop, every hotel, every bank, every personal transaction, every if you want to sell a car, everything can be paid in US dollars or in Bitcoin, and nobody can refuse the payment. Like other, for example, foreign currencies, you can accept it, but you're not obligated to accept it. You can do a transaction in euros, but you're not obligated to do that transaction in euros, because it's not a legal tender here. It's just a foreign currency. In the case of Bitcoin, it's going to be legal tender, and it's going to be treated like a national currency, so everybody has to accept it.
Uh, President Bukele, you'd also mentioned a permanent residency for entrepreneurs, and there's going to be quite an ecosystem that may build up around this because you're going to need, obviously the wallet, government wallet. You're going to need exchanges, exchange support for people to be able to auto convert. There'll be investors and entrepreneurs coming. How are you thinking about incorporation or immigration law? Caitlin Long, who's actually here, did a pioneering bill for Wyoming that might be interesting to you. That actually Miami also copied. That might be helpful for you as you go forward. But I'd love to hear how you're thinking about immigration and incorporation law.
We're gonna have some immigration reform. We actually have some laws to pass later that it will empower the use of the growth of this and the potential of this. Like Karim said, the limits of this are, we don't know what are the limits of this. We will find out with time, but we're ready to pass new legislation to help with things. For example, this law speaks about a trust fund that the government is going to put up in place, so it would assume the risk of the merchants. So let's say I know I'm not answering the question directly. I'm going to answer in a minute. But what I'm trying to say is that, for example, if there's a ice cream parlor and the owner of the ice cream parlor, he doesn't really want to take the risk. I mean, he has to accept Bitcoin because it's a mandated, it's a currency, but he doesn't want to take the risk of the convertibility. He might win money, he might lose. So he wants dollars deposited in his banking account. So when he sells the ice cream, he can ask the government to exchange his Bitcoin to dollars. Of course, he can do that in the markets also, but the government would have a fund to do it immediately. So it's not that volatile because the government is going to take the risk of the minutes or half an hour that's going to take for him to do his transaction. So we're going to put up a trust fund to do that, and we're willing to risk some money that we might earn some and we might lose some, but that's going to be done to help people with the risk, and that's a separate law that's going to go to be approved in the assembly later. But it's just new laws that are going to promote, and they're going to facilitate the usage of Bitcoin in El Salvador, and exploit its potential. So, for example, with immigration, we have been we're designing this new law that gives permanent residency to anybody that invests 3 Bitcoins in El Salvador. So if you buy a house or a car or two cars or whatever, but you have to invest, or you put some offices and you buy some computers or some office furniture, or you have to invest 3 Bitcoins. So once you give proof of investing the 3 Bitcoins, you would get or that you will invest the 3 Bitcoins, you will get permanent residency. So it's going to be expressed in Bitcoins and not in US dollars, because we want to make the people used to like some people like to say 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. So we want to people to get familiarized to using Bitcoins as a unit alone, and not all the time being um, thought of the convertibility to the U.S. dollar, because that's not good for Bitcoin as a currency. It's like when Europeans go to a place and buy a car with euros, they don't convert the euros to dollars to buy the car. They just buy the car to the amount of what's expressed in the price of the car in the car dealership. So we want to do that, and we want to promote people coming here, innovators, investors, entrepreneurs, just Bitcoiners. They want to buy a vacation house or go and live by the beach, or whatever. And we want to promote all this, and so we're gonna pass some legislation for immigration reform, and we're going to pass some legislation for the trust fund and some other legislation for access to the internet. We're gonna build a better infrastructure to so people have more access. It's one of the articles of this new law says that the government has to provide and facilitate and promote the connectivity of the people and the technology, which is of course an app and a phone and an internet connection. So there's going to be new legislation coming soon that is not mm, it's not a necessary it's not a necessity of this law, but it would definitely promote and widen the opportunities and the potential of this thing that it's happening here, and that it's probably going to be replicated in other countries as well.
That's really interesting. I use Eunice. There's like jus sanguinis, which is citizenship by blood, and then jus solis, which is by law, and then jus ionis, which is by investment. And so 3BTC investment basically gets you citizenship. That's really interesting. Other countries have done things like that, but not denominated, obviously, in cryptocurrency. I think related to that, maybe I'm not sure if this is on your radar yet, but anything you can do on incorporation of the companies in terms of infrastructure, because that might be a third piece. As I mentioned, Caitlin is here, and she's done a lot of pioneering work on this. Might be an interesting person to speak to. Francis Suarez has adopted some of that, because you could become a sanctuary country for crypto. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, Bitcoin entrepreneurs, everybody would come there, and because the banking system would be friendly, everything would be friendly, so just something to think about. That's the third piece potentially, is your incorporation law.
President, earlier somebody asked if the United States or the IMF had reached out, and you said yes. Could you tell us a little bit more about what those conversations were like?
Uh-oh. Yeah. No. Actually, I have a meeting with the IMF on Thursday, and we're gonna speak about several issues. One of them being this law. Um, I already. I mean, in the messaging that we set up the meeting, I already tried to explain them that this doesn't. I mean, it's a huge change for the country, and it's a huge opportunity, and it's a big message for the world, but it's not going to change our macroeconomics. I mean, it's it's an opportunity for our merchants, for our businesses, for the people. For it's an opportunity for the people that receives remittances. It's an opportunity for the people in the tourism sector. This is gonna provide. It's gonna promote economic development, the creation of jobs. It probably is gonna lower, or as Jack said, it's gonna take to zero the commission that a lot of people is paying. Some people are paying 30% commission in the remittances, so they get $100 and they only get paid 70. So this is an opportunity for the growth of the economy of the country and of the people. So this shouldn't be of concern, but it should be supported, I think. And I try not to be pessimistic about what the financial international financial sector would think of it. I try to be positive, because this is going to be good for the country, good for the people, good for investors, good for innovators, and it's going to solve a lot of problems in the U.S. too, because the U.S. has a big problem at the border, because a lot of people emigrate from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. So if we create more opportunities here, that will lower the pressure in the border. So I mean, they should be happy about this. So I think it's more we have to do a lot of explaining, and um, we have to campaign this. But I'm sure it's going to be good for everybody, and we count on you. I mean, we're um, almost 16,000 people are connected to this chat room right now. So, and there's a lot of influential people here. So, I think it's going to be there's going to be a lot of support for what we're doing here. Of course, there's going to be people that oppose it. It's normal. We live in a free society, so people can oppose something, and they're free to oppose it. but it's going to be a lot of support, not only political support, but also influencers and people in the. For example, this was I don't know if he's here, but there was a very nice article in Forbes, um, and it spoke very well about the project and about what we're doing here in El Salvador. And I mean, we didn't get that kind of press before, so I think there's a lot of support that is gonna be built in this network that is new, and that it's gonna allure a lot of innovators and a lot of talent that is coming. Because I mean, this is we're not only talking about money. We're talking about technology. We're talking about talent. We're talking about fresh new ideas, and all of this is coming here. It has been already here, and it's coming more and more by the day. So this new technologies, new ways of promoting access to financing, access to technology for the people. This has to be good for the United States, and it has to be good for the worldwide financial sector. It's probably not good for some people that have some different interests, but for the good of humanity, and for the good of in this moment our country, that's gonna be it. I mean, everybody has to support it, or they should at least. So I think we're going to do a lot of campaigning and a lot of explaining, but I think at the end is gonna get a very good result.
President
Mr.
Bukele, I mean, do you consider this to be the beginning of de-dollarization? Is this sort of what you have in mind long term?
No, no, we in 2001, when the country was dollarized, the argument was that our currency was too volatile, and that we have to um, attract investors, and we have to be to use the U.S. dollar as a currency, because that would attract investors, and we probably did at
Just to let you
some
know, he was a
extent.
minor when that happened.
I know, I was a minor too. So, um, so now with um, with this, we're doing that on the steroids, because now we have social media that we didn't have in 2001. So now we could be speaking at this room, which was totally improvised, and now everybody is listening to this, and it's different. So I think that the objectives of having the US dollar as a legal tender are probably replicated on steroids as having Bitcoin as a legal tender. So we're not trying to de-dollarize, because it won't serve any purpose for us, but we're trying to do um, to allure entrepreneurs and talent and innovators to our country, and that's going to be good. And I don't think having the dollar as legal tender does any harm to it. On the contrary, I think it's going to help having both currencies as legal tenders in El Salvador.
Mr. President, this is
President,
Mike Peterson from Bitcoin Beach, and I just want to thank you
Hey,
so much for everything you've done. I knew deep down you were a Bitcoiner. I knew you were going to come through here, and everybody on our team,
well, you're the pioneers, actually.
everybody on our
And you demonstrated. Sorry to interrupt, but I want to say something good about you guys. You guys demonstrated that this is not something for rich people only. I mean, this is for everybody, and you guys demonstrated that a community can actually benefit from Bitcoin. And now we're going to demonstrate it in a country in a country wide scale. But of course, you're the pioneers here, and hats off to you guys, because you have demonstrated you had the courage to be the first here in El Salvador, which is um, and you have done great. And actually, you have provided with us with arguments and with pictures and with stories and with everything that we need to have this bill passed so
Well,
fast.
I hope so much that you'll grace us with your presence with the team. There's an amazing team of locals in El Zonte that are really the ones who have done all the work, and so I know it means so much to them if you'd come and spend a little time with them. So I really hope you'll be able to come and spend some time in Bitcoin Beach with us.
I will. I will. I will.
President, you've got a lot of people in here from the
I
Bitcoin
love to go to
community.
Bitcoin
Could you
Beach.
tell us a little bit about your story with Bitcoin, whether you hold Bitcoin today, and kind of how you became so interested in it?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
excellent.
here. Sorry. Yeah, I probably I thought. Yeah, I
Uh,
pressed the wrong button. So
Okay, boomer.
th- yeah, I'm not a boomer. So uh, we're, we're, I mean, I'm like Yusuf said in a I think I don't know if it was the same chat or but I read about it that we're big believers in the future. And I remember when I was a kid that I'm probably a little older than some of you guys and a little younger than others. And when I was a kid, I remember thinking about the future, and you would see like flying cars and these beautiful buildings with people having no problems, and everything was solved because of technology and everything, and the world was interconnected like it is right now. But everything was fine. There were no wars, and there was no hunger, no nothing, no diseases. But now, if you talk to young people, and I'm talking about 15-year-olds or even 20-year-olds, and you ask them about the future, they won't talk to you about flying cars or shiny buildings and no hunger. They will talk to you about nuclear war. They will talk about pests, about climate catastrophes, about I mean, when did our vision of the future change from something beautiful to something so dystopic? And but at the same time, we have to remember that we build our own future. It's not the future is not imposed on us. I mean, we build it. We human beings, we build our future. So why do we have to resignate ourselves to have a dystopic future if we can build the future that we dreamt when, well, at least when I was a kid, and probably some of you were too. And so I think Bitcoin as being the main cryptocurrency in the world being solves a lot of problems. No oversupply. It doesn't. It's not in the hands. There's a lot of inequality that comes from the central banking system because they pour new money in, but they choose where that new money goes to. But everybody pays the price of having their money being less of the quantity of the total amount of money. So Bitcoin is it's technology, it's the future. It solves a lot of things. It's very well thought of, and it's being supported by a lot of people that want to see a better world and a better future, and a lot of innovators and a lot of talent. So we want to support that too. And we're not we don't. I mean, I could support it by being a Bitcoiner and put laser eyes in the picture. But we want not only to support it, but we want also to demonstrate that the world can benefit from it. And I think El Salvador is not only a country anymore. It's a symbol of what Bitcoin can do. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of pouring in of new technology in a country that basically, we had very good plans 6 months ago, but isn't not even near what the plans that we have now. So if we can change our future, and it probably we will start seeing other countries follow. So we're going to see a lot of futures, a lot of countries' future changing, and that's going to help build a better society. So I mean, of course, it's not like Bitcoin is going to solve everything, but I think this is one of the things that we all have to that get behind on, because we have to build the future for humanity, and we don't have to um, accept the new probably the not so good future that the world is going on, and we can change it. So for me, Bitcoin is a very important part of it, and I'm sure this is going to be a great example. So it's not that I'm a Bitcoin holder. It's that I do think that this is going to be a huge game changer, not for El Salvador but for the world. And probably right now, a lot of people might laugh or say, "Oh, that's a very small country," and it is. It's the smallest country in the whole continent. But it's well, it doesn't matter. It's happening, and it's going to change a lot of things, and it's going to start here, and that's it's beautiful to be part of a huge change in humanity. So I don't want to be corny, but that's the reality. We're dreaming here about what's going to happen, and we're happy
Mr.
about it.
Yeah,
President,
don't be
will
too corny because Jack Dorsey is listening, so he can block you from Twitter. So be careful.
Jack,
Mr.
Jack, you
President?
got to get up here, man. Join us on stage. I sent you an invite.
Mr. President,
Mr. President?
will people have the freedom to use whatever wallet they want, or will they have to use the government wallet? A lot of people are asking me that.
No, 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 no. It's any wallet. You can use any wallet that you want. There's not going to be any. The law, the law. It's up there. It's short. Like I said, I added sweet, but it's short and simple. So it's very simple. It's there. There's going to be a government option. I mean, as a wallet that is going to be developed by Strike, but that's going to be an option. You can use any wallet, and you can use any system, and you can. I mean, we're not going to. It's going to be as free as it
Yeah, not
gets.
not limit every single human being to a wallet, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is that um, all the new technologies that are gonna develop. I mean, they're gonna even Jack spoke about what the work that he's gonna do here. It's gonna be available for all of the other countries. So it's not only that it's fully free, but what we do with Jack is gonna be um, it's gonna be free also. So everybody can. I mean, it's not. There's not gonna be any restriction on the use of Bitcoin, other than it's for legal things, right? Because a lot of people is talking about, oh, with Bitcoin they're gonna do money laundering and they're gonna buy weapons or whatever. And I'm saying like, well, weapons are bought in U.S. dollars right now. I mean, it's not like I mean money laundering is done in U.S. dollars. The drug cartels they use U.S. dollars, and the problem is not the dollar, is the criminals. So it's like saying Bitcoin it facilitates uh, transactions for doing bad things. It's I mean, what about cash, or what about jewelry or diamonds or any other sort of payment? What about euros or yens or whatever? I mean, it's not this is gonna be as free as it gets, but that's not gonna mean we're inviting criminals. It just means that it's gonna be free. But being free is not a synonym of the bad thing. I don't know who changed that that definition because it's supposed to be something good. So it's gonna be as free as it gets, and so you can use any wallet. There's gonna be a governmental wallet, but that we're gonna develop with Strike. But there's gonna be one other option, like all of the other options that are out there. And it's going to be probably the smallest option because only Salvadorans are probably going to be interested in downloading that one. But it's gonna it, we're, it's not a for us. It's not um, the main thing is not the wallet. The main thing is the usage of Bitcoin in the country as a legal tender. That's the big thing. The other thing is part of the infrastructure and technology that we're trying to develop to help a lot of people that otherwise they wouldn't be able to access the technology or the apps or the things because they can use it. So we will help them with the technology, with connectivity, like they did in Bitcoin Beach. So we'll try to replicate that in a wider scale with people that sell in the streets and people that sell in the market. So you can be selling fish in the market, and you're probably not even in any financial sector right now. So you probably need some government help and some people that come and give you a phone and an app and a connectivity plan for free to help you join and benefit from this. But of course, if you have your own phone and you have your own apps, I mean, you don't have to download the government one. It's just this is like trying to get financial inclusion will require some government investment. So we'll try to do that investment. But that's not a requirement for everybody. It's just something the government will do proactively to go and benefit the people that are probably not going to benefit automatically because they don't have a smartphone or they don't have a stable internet connection.
Mr. President,
We're doing something.
will you also be strengthening the property laws of El Salvador to recognize Bitcoin and to recognize outright property rights in Bitcoin? And then also as a follow-up, you mentioned in the law instantaneous conversion to the US dollar. That implies that you have a clearing account with the Federal Reserve. I'm curious how the instantaneous conversion to dollars will be taking place. Thank you.
Okay, so that's going to be it's actually quite simpler than that. It's not that we're going to exchange with the Federal Reserve. I mean, our central bank is a very robust central bank. I mean, for the country, of course, that has business with the Federal Reserve by the day. We actually import our dollars I mean, our paper dollars newly printed, newly minted. They come here. I mean, they are printed for us. So we actually have a very good relationship with the Fed. But this is way simpler than that. The convertibility is not with the Fed or with the central bank. It's with the trust fund that we're going to do in one of we have a the government here also owns some banks. We have the central bank, of course, but we also have first floor banks, and we have a development bank that's owned by the government. So in our development bank, we're gonna establish a trust fund. So we buy the Bitcoin of the transactions that are done by people that doesn't want to take the risk. For example, if you have a lady that sells fruit in the marketplace, and she doesn't want to, she doesn't understand that much, and she doesn't want to risk her savings, or she doesn't want to take the risk implied in using Bitcoin. So, but she's mandated, if she has the technology, of course, that will provide. If she doesn't have it, she's mandated to accept Bitcoin to sell her fruit. So what we're going to do is that if she's using the wallet, she can opt out and say, okay, I'm taking this Bitcoin, but I want this money deposited in US dollars. So we are going to buy her Bitcoin, and we at the price that she valued her fruit. So not at the price of the market. So if she sells $5 in fruit, and the Bitcoin price that she sold it at was X amount, but that amount changes when she deposits the money in her bank, then we are gonna absorb that risk by buying her Bitcoin at her fixed price of the fruit. So that trust fund is gonna guarantee that the people that don't want to take the risk, they don't have to take the risk. They have to take the Bitcoin, but not the risk. So they will translate that risk to the government, not to the trust fund of the bank of the government. Now, this risk might turn into a profit for the government, or it might turn into a loss for the government. So the trust fund is going to be supported by some losses and some gains. And at the end, we might lose some money out of the trust fund, or we might earn some money out of the trust fund. But it doesn't matter, because the the purpose of the trust fund is not to make money, is to support this decision of having Bitcoin as a legal tender, and that it runs for years and years with no problems, because we have this trust fund that allows us to absorb the risk of the small merchants that don't want to take the risk. So it's actually very simple, and it doesn't involve the Federal Reserve, or even our central bank. It's just a trust fund in our
Have
development
you heard
bank.
the term market maker, Mr. President? Because if not, or maybe you have, but some of those guys might be able to help with this, because it sounds very similar to people who do market making, or basically are both on the buy and the sell side to provide liquidity.
Yeah, I'm not that well versed in that.
Mr. President,
Let
are
me
you
check.
planning on doing mining? Is the government going to mine Bitcoin or encourage the mining of Bitcoin in El Salvador?
Never thought of it, but like Karim said, this I mean, every day is going to be new ideas. So we're not thinking of mining, but if we can do something to promote mining, of course. And we have some right now thinking of it. I mean, I haven't thought of it, but right now thinking of it, um, we have a plan. This is not has nothing to do. Well, it had nothing to do with Bitcoin, but we had a plan because we have geothermal energy here, energy that you get from volcanoes. So we actually have plants that get clean. It's not only 100% renewable, but it's also 100% clean because the energy of the volcanoes turn the water into water vapor, and that makes energy. So we produce that energy since 50 years ago. But right now we were looking at that we lose a lot of energy by transporting the energy of the geothermal plants to the cities. So we want to promote this on the outskirts of the plants. We want to promote this industrial parks where you can set up your factory and you will receive cheap, clean, 100% clean, 100% renewable, zero CO2, 0% CO2 emissions, and we wanted to do that not because of Bitcoin, but because of people that want to invest in factories that won't have any carbon footprint. But now that you're talking about mining, probably somebody wants to set up a mining facility with zero emissions and with geothermal energy that it's not only cheap because it's right there in the front of them, so they don't pay. We don't have to transport the energy to another place. It's right there, and it's very very cheap for us. So probably somebody wants to set up a mining facility with cheap, um, clean, renewable energy. But that's just a thought. I just thought about it right now. I haven't thought about mining or other things. But like Karim said, it's every day that passes, new ideas will come up, and this is the
No,
limits of
no,
this.
it's remarkable. And look, any stranded, energy resource you have, whether it be hydro, volcanic, geothermal, I mean, these are things to think about. So thank you.
President, one of the strengths of the Bitcoin kind of ecosystem is the community and how you can crowdsource ideas like this or ask for help. Are there specific things that people in the community can do right now to help you or the country of El Salvador as you kind of move to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender or look to kind of upgrade the financial infrastructure of the country?
Well, I don't know. Probably there's a lot more things to do. I think that we should. This is just a thought, but I think we should support this move because a lot of people are probably going to attack it just because they oppose it or because they don't like it or because they promote other ideas, which are fine. But I think we should support this as I mean, anybody can support it by their own means. They can give their opinion, they can write an article, they whatever. So I think everybody we should support this so this takes a strong hold, and it's not like just an idea or just a bill that was passed by Congress in a country, but it's a thing that it's strong and it's proving that it carries benefits for the common folk. And if that happens, you would see dozens of countries doing the same thing. And then it would evolve in something even more because then you're not talking about one legal tender or two legal tenders or three legal tenders, but you're talking about a currency that is being widely used by a lot of countries. So that will have financial implications. I'm not an economist, but a lot of I would guess there are a lot of economists here, and they can explain better the financial implications of what would that mean. But I think at least I'm gonna try and focus on having this project succeed, so we can have a strong um, system working here, and that would be probably it would create a domino effect, and that would probably turn into what you're saying. But I think we should have this um, more strongly functioning, so then you can take other steps.
Mr. President, many of us Bitcoiners in this room, including the Americans, are worried about the prospects for high inflation over the next decade or so. Does this motivate your decision at all, the prospects for inflation in the US dollar?
Itself, the decision was taken because we were basically inspired by the project of Bitcoin Beach and by the work that Jack has been doing here and all of the people.
What's the
So
status of the bill, by the way? I guess debate is still ongoing.
yeah, the opposition is still debating. It's like a filibuster, but without the ability to filibuster for days or for hours.
What's the
Yeah.
opposition? Is it the bankers, Kareem?
Who?
Is it the bankers that are opposing it?
Well, maybe they are. No, I don't know. I don't. I'm not saying the bankers. I'm just the political opposition in Congress. Maybe some people that are financing them are opposed to, but yeah, I cannot pinpoint anyone specifically.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can. Can I ask you? Can we
I
call
was
this?
just I was just reusing the phrase of, I think it's an old ad. You're too young to remember that.
Which one?
What
Can you
phrase is
hear me
Oh
that?
now?
yes, yes. This is news for all of you. The president is getting old. He's turning
Yeah, I'm
40
sorry. I'm sorry. I
in
thought it
like
was a
two
joke, but
months.
nobody
He's
laughed.
turning 40 in 2 months. So yeah, he's not as
60,
young as he used to be.
21,000 people and nobody laughed at my joke. Yeah, that's
So,
that's. I should be. I'm
sorry,
getting old,
sir.
I think.
What's the status of the bill? How we looking?
Well,
Well,
the
it's
right now the opposition is talking again, but the last guy that was talking just finished. Now the another guy is talking, so we have to wait for him for 5 minutes or so, I guess, and then it continues and continues and continues until they vote. And the vote takes around maybe 2 to 3 to 5 minutes, and that will be it.
So, Mr. President, you've probably seen that all these other policymakers from your neck of the woods, from Latin America, have also embarked on their own little campaigns to sort of embrace Bitcoin. I mean, a lot of this seems like you're doing. I mean, how does this make you feel?
I don't know yet. It's like we're trying to live the moment and try to do the best that we can so this succeeds. And I know this we're doing the right thing. I mean, it's not. I mean, there's so much talented, smart people behind us and doing this and supporting this and fighting for this. And I'm sure it's gonna be great for everybody. It's. I mean, it's the definition of when you do things for. And when you do things the right way, it has to provide a good result at the end. I think it's impossible that will not have something good come out of this, because there's so much talent, so much effort, so much people that are working with it, behind it, supporting it, pushing it. I just don't see how this is gonna turn the wrong way. So I'm just trying to live by the day and trying to see where this takes us. But I'm sure it's gonna be something good for everybody.
You know, you have some of the most important Bitcoiners in the world on the stage right now. Not to sound too self-congratulatory, is this what you
Yeah, Nick, you're
expected?
now you're now the boss of everybody.
Thank you. That's a presidential decree. I'm putting that in my Twitter bio. But so, like, how does it feel to get this warm reaction from the Bitcoin community? Is that what you expected?
Well, like I told you, we're just living by the day. I mean, I was not supposed to join the chat room. I just everybody was tweeting about it. And I said like, well, I should listen to this. And then everybody's saying like, hey, the president is listening. He should speak. And then I took a while to speak in here. And then suddenly it became from 6,000 when I joined to 20,000 or I don't know, 20, almost 22,000. And
Yeah.
so I don't know, this is just happening. But I mean, there's a lot of things I know, but there's a lot of things I don't know. And one of the things I don't know is the limits of what this is going to become. I know that it's going to be good. I know that it's going to be great. I know that it's going to be very, very important for a lot of people. But I don't really know the limits of this. It's just things are just happening, and we're learning by the minute, and we're seeing things happen by the minute. And right now, the assembly is discussing the bill. The bill is going to pass. I mean, it's almost 100% chance that it's going to pass. So, and while this is happening in the assembly, we're just talking here, and a lot of people got interested in our talk, and this is just happening by the minute. I really don't know what that means, or what's the limit, what are the limits of this, but I
Yeah,
know that
probably nobody know. Everyone has a theory, but nobody in this room knows what's going to happen.
Are you colleagues in the chamber? Are they wondering like what you're up to right now? They're like, what's he doing on his phone? Are are they tuning in as well?
I don't see any deputies
There's
in the
some
room.
mayors and some, yeah.
The mayor of the capital is here.
Yeah, the mayor of San Salvador is here right now
In this
Is
room?
Yeah,
in this
he's
room.
here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing his picture here, and also our ambassador to the United States is here.
I
But I don't
invited
see
her.
much government officials. Let me see. Uh, well, also our representative to the Central American Bank, which is a very important bank for us, is here. I'm seeing his picture, Luis Rodriguez. Um,
He's actually a supporter of this bill, so that's good.
and, and he's a banker, so, and he's a representative of the Central American Bank, so that's important.
Mr. President, as you kind of rattle off a bunch of the politicians that are here, and Kareem, maybe you can chime in on this as well. How much effort did you guys go through before the video over the weekend at the Bitcoin conference in terms of building consensus among other politicians and people in the Congress and maybe various jurisdictions within the country versus this was something that you guys felt was the right decision and you kind of unilaterally proposed this, understanding that you had kind of the votes in Congress?
Well, the good thing about El Salvador is that in politics, the opinion of the people is pretty homogeneous. People are supporting. I mean, they're right now the president has 90% approval rating, and and Lay's Gallup poll, which is an international poll. It's not like in North Korea where the president there has like 125% approval rating, right, or something. So that's pretty good. I mean, people really want change here, and they have been defrauded so many times that people are starting to see new stuff as the way to go forward. So it was not hard to get people on board, at least the majority. And we're not talking about a small majority or just the majority. It is a big majority who support this.
Got it. And then I apologize for asking again, but people will not stop incessantly DMing me this question. They continue to ask Mr. President what the plan is in terms of holding Bitcoin on the balance sheet. It would make you one of the first countries, if not the first country, to do it. But any plans there that you could speak to?
We're gonna hold probably $150 million in the trust fund, but it's not gonna be a reserve. It's gonna be a trust fund, and it's not gonna be in the central bank, but in our development bank. But I think that's a huge step, and things are gonna evolve, probably not only in El Salvador but in the world. So our plans right now is to hold at least $150 million in our trust fund, and I know that's not a huge sum, but for us it's quite considerable, and it's going to be in our development bank. So for the plans as of right now is it's that, but probably in the future I don't know. This is evolving very fast, so we're not ruling out having Bitcoin in our reserves in the near future. But we're not. This law doesn't include buying holding Bitcoin in the reserves.
And it's $150 million equivalent in Bitcoin, or $150 million?
Dollars.
So it's not holding 100. It's not holding Bitcoin in the development bank's trust fund, or it is
No,
holding Bitcoin. It's
no,
not. Okay.
no, it's dollars. We're gonna buy the $150 million out of the transactions of common folks. So
Okay.
we're gonna fill the trust fund coffers with Bitcoin, but we're gonna buy them with dollars. So at the end, we're gonna hold at least $150 million equivalent of Bitcoin, but that hasn't been bought yet because it's gonna be bought in the small transactions of 0.00001 Bitcoins. So at the end, we're gonna hold an equivalent. We're gonna hold $150 million equivalent in Bitcoin, but right now we're not holding any Bitcoin. So the trust fund is gonna buy the transactions, and it's gonna be filled with Bitcoin. But that Bitcoin is gonna come from common folks that are opting out of the deposits in Bitcoin, and it's interchanging those Bitcoins in U.S. dollars. So we're gonna provide those U.S. dollars, and we're gonna get the Bitcoin in exchange. So at the end, not at the end, but in a couple of months, the development bank will hold approximately $150 million equivalent in Bitcoin.
And then will you fund it with more dollars at that point, or have you thought about once you get $150 million worth of Bitcoin in the development bank, what happens then? Who funds the conversion of dollars to
No,
Bitcoin?
that's not the total. That's a like a how do you say in English? It's like a
The starter package.
approximation. It's like like a proximity, like a calculation of how much Bitcoin will be held in the trust fund,
Mm-hmm.
since the trust fund needs to have fresh U.S. dollars to continue exchanging.
Right.
But I don't see the trust fund getting empty, because we'll always we'll have a lot of the bank is a very solid big bank, and we are being supported by the country's sovereign ability to get new money. So it's not, and we still the Bitcoin will always have value. So we're not looking at this fund to be empty in any time. It's just going to be handled by experts in trust funds that are just going to be converting this transactions into Bitcoin. But we're not. I mean, we're not giving away free money. We're just exchanging at market value at the times of the transactions. So we're not. I mean, it's just I just made an approximation of what we think we're gonna hold in Bitcoin. It's gonna be like net $150 million equivalent of Bitcoin at market value right now. But that's gonna probably change.
Right. So it's effectively a clearinghouse. And so over time, the trust fund will probably sell down some of the Bitcoin in order to get more dollars to replenish that
Yes,
pool.
yes, exactly,
Got it.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But it's probable, like the bankers have told me that most likely they will hold the equivalent right now at market value of $150 million in Bitcoin,
Right.
because that's like the sum they will have in a stock. So they're going to be selling and buying, but they will have like not fixed, but like um, the same amount of stock in Bitcoin, which is not required by law, but it's like the amount they will have just to manage the fund correctly, so it doesn't fall, or it, so it's stable. They calculate they will have like $150 million in equivalent right now
Mr. President,
of market value. The market value right now equivalent in Bitcoin.
sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, Mr. President. They're about 5 minutes away for voting to vote.
Okay, guys.
Bill. 5 minutes
So
away.
thank you for
The last congressman speaking.
I'm just one of
Thank
the
you.
22,600 people here. So I'm leaving, but I hope we answer some of the questions, and I hope I'm gonna tweet a good news in a couple of minutes.
Yes, thank you. You did.
Thank you,
Best
Mr.
But
President.
I have to look at the vote. It's very important to look at the vote.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. President. You got business to do. You can run. That's okay.
I'll
Thank you
tell you
so
the votes.
much.
How are they coming?
You're
Thank you,
welcome back
guys.
anytime.
Yeah. Bye bye. Thank you, Nick. You're the boss.
My pleasure. Well, thank you for saying that.